to the show. Methi Meier, son of Billy Meier. And thank you very much for agreeing to do this interview regarding this statement you put out recently. And I think just to begin with, what I'd like to do is just to ask you a couple of questions first. Just if you could just tell us who you are and really why you've made this earth-shattering statement.
Yeah, well, I'm Methi Meier. I am born at the 31st of October 1973, and I'm the son of Billy Edward Albert Meier. So the reason why I wrote this letter and I did my statements is to open eyes, to start make people thinking. You know, it's I was blamed over, as I explained in my statement, over 30 years for several bad actions. And of course, I did my mistakes. As every human does in the teenager age. So yeah, that's mostly the biggest reason why I got out with that story. That also people who may be worshipping the FIGU and my father, that they should realize that there's no reason for worship. They are also human beings, including my father, which are full of mistakes, and they are still human beings. They are not gods or goddesses, and they are really not perfect.
I see. That's very, very powerful statement there. And how many brothers and sisters do you have?
So I have one sister and one brother.
That's Gilgamesh and Atlantis, is it?
That's right.
Okay, and could you also explain what FIGU is, what it stands for?
FIGU is a non-profit society. It's a group who's interested in UFOs and spiritual teachings, experiences, all kind of these things.
I see. And is the headquarters at the Simjazi Center?
Yeah.
It's the same place, and that's where your father, Billy Meier, lives.
That's they call it also Simjazi Silver Star Center. Right. So that's the same as the FIGU Center.
And what part did you play in FIGU?
Well, as many people know, I also did lectures. At least 14 times I went to America, to Mexico, to Brazil to have several speeches. On several conferences, I tried to help the mission, my father's work, to spread the teachings, why they are here. Especially in Laughlin, one of my latest speeches, I explained that no longer has to be proved that we have visitors from outer space, but more why they come.
And did you ever observe yourself any of these ships?
Well, when I was a little child, I remember one happening. I could see and experience myself to see a beam ship, and also I had several other some kind really weird experiences with several different happenings.
I see. Anything in particular?
Well, I remember I was walking in the front yard of the house when I saw two pairs of footsteps in the grid. I heard some noise. Two men were talking to each other, but I really couldn't see anyone. And I was shocked back then because I couldn't explain to myself what's going on here.
Right. But you'd never had any encounters yourself or seen any of the plagiarians as such?
No, not straight.
Okay, so in other words, you're very clear that you do not doubt the contacts having happened. We're just going to talk about perhaps some behavioral problems and some spiritual problems maybe. But you have no doubt that your father actually has had these contacts, and that's very clear, right?
Yeah. Okay. And it has to be told. I really do not try to destroy the FIGU or the work they do. I mean, the teachings are the teachings, the mission are the mission, and the behavior and actions, that's totally two different pairs of shoes.
Right. So anyway, your statement you put out, your disclosure, of course, is very powerful, and some people would regard it as very damning to the reputation of FIGU and perhaps to your father. But it's obvious that you've been, from your statement anyway, it's obvious that you've been abused and you've watched abuse and people taking advantage. Now, just to give some sort of quote, I mean, you also mentioned that Pata, the Plajarian, must have known about your disclosure letter, where you direct a question at Christian Freire, right? You said,
Freire,
yes. You said, are you Christian? So many people before you, not my father's tool. What did you mean by that?
Well, my father is really tough in the psychology of human beings. And also he knows how to get information. I mean, you and me, we know also if we spread a rumor and we will, to spread a rumor, to get an answer, which I really would like to, you know, which depends on the situation, you know. It's also somehow pushing someone under pressure to get an answer.
Right.
You know. Right. So it was the same. I wrote this straight to Christian because he blamed me or judged me that I shouldn't know what means a friendship, what means truth, and so I stood at my friend's house, and I was helping him for a move, and they start to talk in the forum. That I am there to build a FIGU group, you know, and it was never the idea that I would have a group. I was only there for help my friend by the move and for having some time away, and that's it.
Okay. So let's get to the key point, the nub of the problem. At the ages of 5, 8, 12, you state that your mother was beaten up.
Yeah.
By whom?
Well, I don't use names right now. If it needs, I could name them, but
not names. Just which group? Who could it have been?
Especially one of the group members who beat her up very, very badly. And my father committed it. He accepted it only, and it does hurt me back then very bad. You know, I mean, what would you do to stop this with 5, 8, or 12 years of age?
Right.
You're helpless. You have just to accept what's going on.
Okay, and you were, of course, you were really abused yourself, weren't you?
Sure, yeah. Also from that same person, and sure, my father told him to stop this, but it doesn't stop till I was 11, 12 years of age.
Right. Were your brothers and sisters beaten up?
No, because I was the youngest, or I am the youngest, and my brother left, or first my sister left with 14. She left already the house, so I was 8 years, and my brother left when I was 9. So they left very early the parents' house.
Right. So, I mean, you made a very damning statement in your disclosure, and I quote, "Yes, lovely father, think also very well of what you have done to me." That's your father, Billy Meier. "Not only that you were one of them, no, you also permitted others to mishandle my mother. Wow, how responsible from a prophet who is preaching self-responsibility and responsibility for other human beings." Now, that's a pretty powerful statement.
Yeah, well, it's also, well, it sounds like it turns out to a personal war between my father and me. But it's yeah, well, I will admit it's somehow also a revenge to wake up also my father, that he realizes, well, I am now 38 years old, and now I am able to defend myself and give you back if you start fooling me.
Right.
You know?
Yes.
I mean, yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
Sorry.
So, I mean, what were the reasons you alluded to in your disclosure that made your mother leave FIGU? I mean, was it because of the abuse? Was it because of the abuse of you as well? Was she close to you? I mean, why did she leave?
Well, I wrote a booklet about this whole happening with my mother. She also was a part who had beaten me up. But today, um, as a father by myself, I understand a bit because I mean, she was beaten up, and she wasn't able to defend or make somehow a revenge. So well, I was the youngest. I was not that powerful like the others, so I was the last who got it.
Oh,
You know.
right. So your
So,
father,
but the difference is many years ago, my mother, I went to my mother's apartment, and we talked about these happenings, and I said, well, it is also your own fault. And you did your big mistakes, you treated me bad, and she said, well, okay, yes, I did. I did treat you bad, and I hit you also. I kicked you also with my feet, and I'm so sorry for this. And that's the difference between her and my mother. I don't blame her. I forgot it, what she has done to me, but my father doesn't stood up and said, well, I'm sorry.
so let's make it very clear. Your father did beat you.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And he stood, and whenever you did something wrong, some of those fairy tales you call in your disclosure, he shouted out your crime very loud in front of everybody at FIGU to really
Yeah.
to humiliate you. And
Yeah.
is this? Would you say these are some of the reasons why your mother decided to debunk things like the wedding cake UFO? Why would she debunk that?
Maybe yes, maybe it was, maybe also it was her type of a revenge, because she couldn't. It was also with anger and stress and also overload. So I could imagine that it was out of her anger that she debunks all the pictures and made it onto a fake. But for this statement, also with the wedding cake ship, I'm also a bit concerned about the wedding cake ship.
But who would have been behind who would have been behind the, if you say it's a fraud, or you allude to that anyway, who would be behind a hoax like feigning a wedding cake ship? Who would want to do that?
I really don't know. I really don't know. I never saw my father to fake any pictures, you know, or fake everything else, because I also were on stage when he taped the noise of the beam ships, and there was no sign for it that he will fake something.
Right. Okay.
It concerns me only a bit with the whole story of the wedding cake ship, you know, but I can't say, well, it is a fake.
How about the ray gun? Everybody wants to know about the ray gun.
Well, I don't know. I wasn't there. I never saw that gun by myself, you know. And maybe yes, maybe it was a tool, maybe not, maybe it was a real, but also the proof is the hole in the tree, which my father shot on the tree with that gun, you know. So I saw that hole right after that shot has happened. So I'm quite sure that this is it was a true gun.
Okay. Even though it looked plastic and with the silver suit, you reckon that might have been what they call plausible deniability, to give people a chance not to get a shock and perhaps deny it to themselves so they don't freak out, maybe?
Yeah, well, yes. Well, you know, I mean, how would look a gun on our planet maybe in 1,000 years?
Correct.
You know, we have several materials who looks like plastic, but it's metal.
Right.
You know,
Sure.
so we have already things like this, so that wouldn't be an explanation that the gun was a fake.
Okay, but bearing in mind the close relationship your dad has with the Plagiarans, didn't you,
Yep.
I think you did mention, you often wonder why Ptah, especially one of the Plagiaran elders, didn't tell Billy Meier, your father, that all those fairy tales that you were accused of were not true. You resent that somewhat, don't you?
Yeah, yes, and that's a part who concerns me a bit, you know. You know, one side I have my own experiences, I have my sightings, and the other side they said, well, there's a telemeter disc above the center who is recording everything, you know. And it would be easy for them to have been gotten back, to check the records, but nothing like this happens. If I ask my father for this, he said, well, they have better things to do, you know.
Yeah.
But they have time to scan all over the world several people's which concerns me a bit, because it's copacetic.
I understand. So actually what you're saying, it's possible that Billy would make up some stories, you know, like dropping names of some of the Plagiarans, to suit himself and to keep his pillar of authority, let's say. Even though he's a genuine prophet, he would use that to his advantage in a manipulating way.
Yeah. You know, I was also thinking maybe, I mean, the contacts are real. Maybe they broke up somewhere, and then for his integrity, he had to do something to give the proof that they're still going on, you know.
Yes, I understand that. Just hold.
So,
Yeah.
yep.
It's going to say hold for 1 minute. I'm just going to pause here and try and put a light on, because I'm getting darker and darker. Well, your son,
no
you're taking my son. That's what you're doing. All right, let me just see now. Okay. Would you say that there's a chance that these Plagiarans are manipulating Billy? Is that a possibility?
I don't think so, because I mean, in case of technology, they are more than 12,000 years more further than we are. So you could imagine how far they have to be in their consciousness and the spiritual evolution.
Yes.
So it
Unlikely.
is also not in their idea to manipulate whoever.
All right,
Someone
let me put it another way to you. Do you think it is possible, we need a very clear answer, that FIGU are manipulating Billy Meier's, your father? Is that possible? Are they strong enough?
Yes.
Yes, it is possible.
Yes, because that's also a background information no one knows, and I have several happenings. I know that they, or some of the FIGU, not the whole FIGU members, that they are really badly lying and twist stories, and they make my father believe that it is the truth. So they manipulate him also. So for this case, I don't blame my father.
Right, that's just the way it is, right?
I judge him a bit that he is playing the same games.
Right. Because of
You know?
the incestuousness, if you like, the closeness of the community. It becomes a whole little world. It's almost becoming a cult, isn't it? Or is it not?
Yes, it's it's the case. If they would just shut up in belongings of my life, I would have been quiet. But they try to put me on a bad light, as I also noted in my letters. Some of them, they're smoking weed. My brother is a criminal who should be kicked out along the statutes. They are lying. They're saying, yes, I am in Munich, but they are in holidays on another country. So I did nothing else than they did, but they blame me public. So that's the difference. So that's the reason why I got out now.
Right. So these statutes in FIGU, basically, if you're a criminal, you're out. If you're a drug taker, a weed taker, you're out. You are neither, but they really were happy to see you go. But all those guilty ones are protected. And that sounds very, very, just sort of a normal phenomenon that does happen in some of these religious cults you hear about in America and around the world, where everybody gets together and protects their members against all sorts of abuse.
Yeah, sure. Well, it is also a kind of keeping the integrity, their integrity, in front of my father. My father is trying to keep his integrity for all over the world, and FIGU members trying to keep their integrity in front of my father. So they're making up stories, and they're lying to my father. And even though my father knows this, that they are also lying to him, but that's my big question, why he just treat me that way to keep me in the position, let's say, to be the bad one, you know? If they would say, well, yes, we are lying also. We do our mistakes, and we're just human beings, you know. Sure, they say we do mistakes, but what kind of mistakes, and what kind of games they are playing to keep the integrity, that's the totally wrong way. I mean, I judge myself also of several happenings. I did it also already in my letter.
Right.
So that's because I have nothing to hide. I am a human being. I'm full of mistakes. and I will do ever in my life again. I will do mistakes.
Right. Okay. Look, another quite interesting, what I call a bombshell. You said that you saw in Billy's contact notes that clearly stated that you, your sister Gilgamesha, your brother Atlantis, were to succeed Billy Meier's upon his death. However, you went on to say, and I quote, "This shows me that Karma's appointments are formed as they are needed by FIGU, because later on, the contact notes are changed so that," you put Y, someone you refer to, "should be, after all, the successor of my father." Are you suggesting that FIGU would dare change the contact notes?
That's also part who makes me concerned, and it's a bit suspicious, you know. Back then I was in a children's home, also because of these troubles, you know. My schoolwork wasn't that well. My power left, and my consciousness were screwing up, you know.
You were 13 to 16 years old, between 3 years.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. Between, so I made a little mistake. It was 3.5 years. With 12.5 years, I was gotten to that children's home. So, but I wrote these notes. I was between 14 and 15. I'm not really sure, but it was between 14 and 15, and it really attacks me, you know, because it would be a big pressure to have this responsibility to be, even if I should do this together with my sister and my brother, it would be a big pressure to be the leader of a world-known group who has to do a very, very important and big work, you know.
But you saw the contact note that said you should be a successor, and you're saying that the contact notes have been changed. I mean, that is that is a very serious allegation.
Yes, after all, some years later, when Y was born, after some years, it changed into that he should be the successor of my father. So this concerns me a bit and made me suspicious if the Plejarians made mistakes back then with the contact because of my sister, my brother, and me. Or has it changed about the whole or because of the whole situation, who were very bad, also because of my father, that we were damaged psychologically, or what else, or that I mean, why was ever better treated than their own children? You know. For him, it was allowed to do everything, with no penalty, nothing.
I have no doubt after this interview, you might be charged as being insane, psychologically disturbed. I have no doubt somebody will accuse you of this. I personally, having just chatted with you briefly beforehand, I'm not a psychiatrist, I'm not a psychologist, but I find you very clear-minded. But nevertheless, I have to ask you the question. Are you psychologically disturbed that I can't see? I mean, are you disturbed?
So I am. I have, you know, there's a different, you know, in psychological damages, you have difference. You have traumas, you have little damages, you have big damages, which are called illness, consciousness ill or brain ill. So I am not brain ill. I am not consciousness ill. I have only traumas which really haunting me in my dreams, and the dreams are memories for the age between 5 and 19.
Well, I think if I
So
was kicked around the way you were kicked around, and if I was sent off as a child to 13 to 16 years old, I think I'd be pretty damn upset myself. And I say that in all honesty.
sure,
So if you're traumatized, you're traumatized. It doesn't make you a liar. Many
no,
abductees and contactees are traumatized,
yeah,
yet their testimony is real.
yeah, yes.
So I'm just pleased you didn't get upset with me when I asked you that question. So
Oh no, no. That's why that's why I wrote the letter, because I have nothing to hide. I mean, if I had something to hide, I never would speak out that I am in a psychological therapy.
well,
Also, my psychologist, she tests me. If it needs, she would write me a note which explains, well, I am not brain ill, I am not consciousness ill, that I only have several traumas
fair
because
enough.
of being beaten up, blamed for stealing, blamed for other terrible actions which hurt me till today.
Well, I think this is, I really admire the fact that you're prepared to admit what you did wrong. And as any normal kid makes mistakes when they're young. But I think the harshness to which you were treated by this inverted commas cult-like group, that really contains your
Yeah,
soul and manipulates your father and manipulates this forum is ridiculous. I've been on it a few times myself, and I've seen it. And I think this gentleman Christian gives all the answers to all the questions to your father. It's
yeah,
like your father
yeah.
can't
Well,
answer;
he
he answers.
answered, or he was written. I'm sorry, the bullshit in order of my father, because I know very well how my father is writing and talking. And it was exactly my father's words which Christian Freiner used to accuse me or blame me again in September 2011, to be careful with me, with my meaning of my friendship, with my meaning of truth. So I know also that Christian also back then, like others before, and still today, I will say also Michael Horn
Who?
is a pup.
Who, sir?
Michael Horn.
Oh yes, he's Billy Meier's USA media advisor, right? Media
Yes,
representative.
yes,
Yes. But
yes,
he's done a great
yes.
job for your father. I mean, he's promoted.
Sure, sure. I make him not more bad than he is, but
Okay.
also, I mean, I think he's really not a bad person. But he also doesn't know what's happened behind the big picture.
Well, this is the very point I was going to come to, Methuselah Meier. What do you have to say to any representative, any media representative, anywhere in the world that's
Well,
representing your father, who in fact is associated with FIGU?
yeah.
What
Well,
have you to say to him?
Well, I will tell them, be patient and do not believe only, and that's what the teachings says, do not believe. Prove, listen to both sides.
I mean,
So,
yeah.
out of hearsay, you start to lie.
Very
That's
interesting.
most reason on earth why lies started.
Okay, but if we get back to discussing all the lies that are taking place in FIGU, altered contact notes, how is somebody who's representing your father expected to know what is true, what is not true? Would you
Well,
say that if your father tells him something, it's true, but if FIGU tells him something, it's not true? Is that reasonable or not?
no, it's not exactly this way, because of these games with the manipulation of my father. He also is manipulated by someone else in the FIGU, because to put themselves in a good light, they're starting also to lie to my father. So, I mean, he needs to have trustable people, and some of them are totally not trustable.
Well, this has very large implications to all the people. I mean, in Hong Kong, there's a huge following of the Billy Meier teachings. The USA is a big following. I mean, there are implications. There has to be any evidence that is flawed. In theory, it's flawed. Not saying it's not true, the core of it. Of course, I have no doubts about it. I have no doubt the Palladians are listening to us, the Plagiarians. And they're wondering, perhaps did they make a mistake, or is this just a natural process we have to go through so that we work our way to the truth, so that we don't allow cults to put out the story.
That's the case.
False prophets.
Yeah. And also the worshipping. People has to stop worship them.
But they're worshipping your father.
Yes, that's the problem. And with worshipping, people start to being blind. Like they watch at them like they used to be a golden calf, and that's not correct. That's totally incorrect.
Yes.
They have to think consciously and clear-minded, and I mean, FIGU looks, everything is nice, everything is golden shiny, and no single happening, situation, person is only golden and shiny.
Yes.
There's also a dark side of every single coin.
But let's just once again, for the sake of this interview, let's just balance the situation somewhat, in that we have to still come back to the point and agree that the Plagiarians are real. They contact your father. They have given spiritual teachings. Michael Horn has put out some very good stuff as well.
Yes.
But of course, there is a dark side to it. I think that's a fair estimation.
Yes. That's the fact. It's true, and it's the right thing, and the teachings are correct, But it would be perfect if there is also a bit the influence, if they see, well, there's the dark side and not only the golden shiny way. I mean, it's like FIGU in Wonderland, like Alice in Wonderland. That's totally impossible,
Methi Meier, you do resent the non-response from the Plagiarians, don't you?
Yeah.
You really resent that. I mean, you do feel that Patar or some of the other Plagiarians should have stepped in at some point and sorted out this mess in FIGU, because everything has gone wrong from what I can see.
Yes, it is. It really is this way, as you say. So that's a part I really do not understand. They have the telemeter disc above the center who is recording everything. They scanning from time to time. They're scanning people, but in no contact there was written or note or spoke about to stop this behavior, because it will damage me, my sister, my brother. I mean, young people are so fast damaged in their psychology.
Yes, I can see the toll that it has had on you. So I ask you, what do you think is the next step between you and FIGU? Is there any chance of reconciliation?
Yes, if they stand up for their mistakes, and as I did, as I confirmed that I made these mistakes, I had stolen money from my mother's table, and I did other wrong things like everyone else did.
As a child.
You know,
It's a
yeah,
child.
yes,
Right.
yes. But as far as they also let's say a little part fix my reputation, and well, stand up for their faults, for their mistakes. Till then, there's no way back. If they do this, okay, I will think about it.
But it's highly unlikely that anything is going to happen. It's
Yes.
just not on the
Yeah.
card. So you're going to have to go your own way,
Yeah.
and they will go
Well,
theirs.
also for this, my big question is my father is trying to delete my letter all over where I put it. And if everything should be a lie in my letter, I mean, since 40 years, my father is blamed as a liar, as a cheater. He didn't care. He gives, sorry again, he gives a shit about lies. He don't waste time for this. But now, I mean, he's trying to delete my letter because everything is a lie. It doesn't come along with his mind, who he is. You know, if it would be a lie, why just do nothing like ever before with lies? I mean, Karl Korff, I know he wrote many bullshit in his book who are really not true. And I commit my father that he says, Karl Korff, on one side he's a liar. He made up stories who are really not true. But also Luke Bergin, who published something, and he never reacted on lies, but now it's that important to kill lies, and that puts the whole situation in a big question mark.
I see. I also wanted to ask you another thing. It's a small point.
Yeah.
Did you ever see your father bend a spoon?
Yeah, once in the kitchen.
No, but did he, when I say bent it, because I used to be a magician in my day, so I know the tricks behind it, did he ever melt it, so to speak, in front of your eyes? Or
Yeah, so I saw only how he bent one, but to melt, no, that he melted one, I didn't saw it.
Okay, let me ask you another question. What chance do we have of your father actually facing the media? In other words, I mean, would I be able to meet him, interview him? Why would I not be able to? Is that because of FIGU?
No, because of himself. He stopped a very long time ago. He stopped to talk public. The latest I know was Jaime Maussan from Mexico, and it was the last he ever gave the open statements.
Right.
So as I imagine, he would not be available for interviews. I mean, it's up to you to try, but
well,
I don't think that the chances are very big.
I mean, after this interview, it's going to be unlikely.
Yeah. Yes,
You know?
I think so.
But
I mean, even if he would talk it out straight, you know, I could imagine that he will answer you. Yeah, well, Methuselah is lying about everything, you know, like he does to ACC. Well, Methuselah is lying since he's 3 years of age. I mean, that's a joke. I mean, with 3 years of age, I barely was able to talk. So, I mean, everyone who has own children knows that this is a bullshit.
is he still being visited? Is Billy Meier still being visited?
That's a part I cannot commit.
Are the intelligence services in Switzerland still watching him?
I think so.
Do they visit the center? Have they infiltrated the center?
Yes, maybe. It's probably possible that they try to infiltrate the FIGU.
Did they?
Maybe. I'm not
know.
sure. I'm not a part of them.
While you were at FIGU, you didn't have any suspicions over anybody?
No. I mean, in the last 10 years, or 15 years, I haven't that much contact to visitors. Maybe for hi and bye and how are you, and that's it.
Right. Methi Meier, thank you very, very much for this interview. I am extremely grateful for the complete honesty that you've shown us and for answering all my questions. And I thank you very much. And I'm sure we are going to be in communication again doing another program. Thank you very much.
Yes, it was a pleasure. Thank you a lot also.